If you own a furnished property in South Australia, for example, a holiday house, a granny flat, maybe a place you're not quite ready to sell, you've probably thought about putting it on Airbnb. And look, Airbnb works, but for a lot of property owners, it's starting to feel like a second job. You're managing bookings every week, coordinating cleaners, dealing with guests who can't find the Wi-Fi password at midnight. There's a better model that most landlords don't think about. It's called medium-term rentals, and I think it deserves your attention. Short-term rentals look great on paper. High nightly rates, flexibility, the dream of passive income. The reality is more complicated. First, there's vacancy. Most Airbnb hosts in South Australia are seeing real occupancy rates of around 50 to 65% once you factor in seasonal dips. That means your property sits empty for nearly half the year, and it's still costing you money while it does. Then there's the operational load. Every guest means a turnover. Cleaning, restocking, inspecting for damage, responding to reviews. If you're doing this yourself, it's hours per week. If you're paying a manager, well, then you're giving up 15 to 25% of your income. And let's talk about regulation. Councils across Australia are now tightening rules on short-term rentals. In some states, there are caps on how many nights per year you can host. South Australia hasn't gone that far yet, but the trend is clear, and it's a risk worth thinking about. Medium-term rental means tenancies of roughly 1 to 12 months. Think of the people who actually need these. A professional relocating for a contract, a family between homes waiting for their new build, a visiting academic, someone recovering from a separation who needs somewhere furnished and flexible while they figure out their next steps. These are great tenants. They treat the property like a home because for that period, it is their home. They're not checking in for 2 nights with a suitcase. They're settling in. And from a numbers perspective, the maths works. You're not charging Airbnb nightly rates, but you're getting consistent income without the constant turnovers. 1 tenant for 3 months means 1 check-in, 1 check-out, and 1 clean, not 30. Your effective income after expenses is often higher, with a fraction of the hassle. But this isn't for everyone. If you're running a well-oiled Airbnb in the center of the Adelaide or Sydney CBD with 90% occupancy, you probably don't need to change anything. But even then, it's worth looking at what you're actually keeping. Airbnb's fees keep climbing, and if you're paying a manager, that's 15 to 25% off the top. The nightly rate looks great on paper, but the gap between what you earn and what you take home gets thinner every year. Once you factor all that in, medium term still wins. Same goes if you're a landlord who's tired of the management overhead, or if you've got a property that's sitting empty because you don't want the commitment of traditional 12-month lease, but you also don't want the chaos of Airbnb. Medium term is the middle ground. Stable income, minimal management, and tenants who respect your property. And that's exactly what we do at Easy Flats. We're a licensed South Australian real estate agency that specializes in medium-term furnished rentals Australia-wide. We connect property owners with quality tenants for stays 1 to 24 months, and we handle the process properly with real tenancy agreements under each state and territory's residential tenancy law. And if you've got a furnished property and you want to explore what medium-term could look like for you, head to easyflats.com.au. You can see how it works, check out what we charge, and get in touch if you've got questions. Thank you for watching.